The crucifixion of Jesus is one of the most pivotal moments in Christian history, filled with symbolism and profound spiritual teachings. Among the many individuals involved in this event, one figure stands out: the Roman soldier who pierced Jesus' side with a spear, an act that, according to the Gospels, marked a crucial moment in the Passion. But what happened to this soldier after the crucifixion? Over the centuries, his story has sparked both curiosity and speculation, becoming the subject of historical accounts, Christian traditions, and legends. Did he repent for his actions? Did he find redemption? Or did he continue his life as before? In this video, we will explore the various accounts of his fate, from biblical testimonies to stories that tie him to a profound spiritual transformation. Let us delve into the intriguing destiny of this enigmatic figure and uncover how his story connects to the mysteries of faith and redemption that the crucifixion of Jesus represents. It was a somber day. The sky seemed darker than usual, and a sense of unease hung over Mount Golgotha. Among the crowd attending the crucifixion stood a man, a Roman soldier, not just another spectator, but a centurion. Hardened by war, accustomed to pain and death, this man, as the leader of 100 soldiers, had a clear role: to ensure that yet another execution proceeded without interruption. For him, it was just another day of work, another crucifixion, another display of Rome's relentless power. But that day something unusual was about to happen, something he would never forget. What this centurion didn't know was that the man hanging on the cross before him was no ordinary condemned prisoner. He carried not only the accusations of blasphemy from religious leaders, but also the spiritual fate of all humanity. In this video, you will follow the journey of this Roman soldier, a journey that began as an executioner and ended as a man transformed by faith. Stay with us until the end to discover how the cross not only marked that day on Golgotha, but continues to impact lives even today. Before we begin, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Together, we can share this message of hope and faith with even more people. A centurion's duty. For a Roman centurion, duty always came before emotion. Known for their strict discipline, loyalty to the empire, and skill in leading 100 soldiers under extreme conditions, this soldier was no exception. He had faced bloody battles and witnessed countless executions. To him, crucifixion was just another brutal yet necessary task to maintain Roman order. However, that Friday felt different. As he observed the prisoner about to be executed, the centurion noticed a difference he couldn't explain. Jesus didn't act like other condemned men. He didn't scream, curse his executioners, or desperately plead for his life. Instead, he walked with a dignity that baffled the soldier. In the praetorium, the centurion watched as soldiers mocked Jesus, placing a crown of thorns on his head and striking him with a staff while mocking, "Hail, King of the Jews!" It was a common scene before crucifixions, but Jesus' demeanor was anything but common. He endured it all in silence, with no hatred or resistance. The journey to Golgotha. Imagine Jesus carrying his cross through the narrow streets of Jerusalem, stumbling under its weight. The centurion watched him intently. Having overseen many executions, he knew that most condemned men resisted until the bitter end, fighting their fate. But not Jesus. His calm defied logic, and it began to unsettle the soldier, who was supposed to remain impartial. Even so, the centurion performed his duty. He ordered Simon of Cyrene to help Jesus carry the cross, not out of compassion, but as a practical measure to ensure the execution went as planned. Yet within himself he began to wonder, who was this man who, even in agony, seemed so unshakable? The crucifixion. When they reached the place called Golgotha, the place of the skull, Jesus was nailed to the cross and raised between two thieves. The centurion, as steadfast as ever, observed everything closely. He was accustomed to the desperation of those facing crucifixion, screaming, resistance, and curses. But Jesus didn't react like that. Instead he prayed, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." These words echoed in the soldier's mind. Forgiveness for those nailing him to the cross, for the soldiers gambling for his clothes as if it were a game, for the crowd mocking him mercilessly. The centurion began to feel something he had never experienced. This was not the reaction of an ordinary man. Jesus' words pierced through the emotional armor the soldier had built over years of warfare and brutality. Supernatural signs. Then something even stranger happened. At noon the sky grew unnaturally dark, not cloudy, but an overwhelming supernatural darkness, as though creation itself was mourning. For 3 hours, the earth seemed to grieve. The centurion felt the weight of the unusual atmosphere. He tried to maintain his composure before his men, but he couldn't deny that something extraordinary was happening. Then, a violent earthquake shook the ground, splitting rocks apart. Fear gripped everyone present. Even as the world seemed to unravel, Jesus maintained a serene dignity. With a loud cry, he surrendered his spirit. The earth itself responded. The temple veil in Jerusalem tore from top to bottom, a visible sign of a greater event unfolding. The centurion was stunned. Every fiber of his being told him he had witnessed something divine, a declaration of faith. At that moment, the centurion declared, "Truly, this was the Son of God." It wasn't just a reaction to the supernatural signs. It was the culmination of everything he had witnessed that day. The silence of Jesus, his words of forgiveness, his dignity in the face of torture. It was as if, for the first time, the centurion could see beyond the brutality of his duty. As the crowd continued to jeer, the centurion heard Jesus speak again, entrusting his mother to the care of his disciple. "Woman, behold your son," and to the disciple, "Behold your mother." Even in the throes of unimaginable pain, Jesus' concern was not for himself, but for others, a transformation. The centurion's statement, "Truly, this was the Son of God," marked a profound transformation. It was not just an acknowledgement of divine power, but also a realization that true strength comes from humility, sacrifice, and unconditional love. This was a revelation that shattered everything he had been taught as a Roman soldier, that power was demonstrated through force and unquestioning obedience. That day, the centurion saw the cross not as a symbol of Rome's dominance, but as a symbol of love, redemption, and hope. His journey, which began as a routine execution, ended with a heart forever changed. And his story continues to remind us of the transformative power of the cross, an event that still impacts lives today. After that day, the centurion was no longer the same. As the crowd began to disperse, he remained at the site, staring at the horizon, his mind filled with questions and his heart weighed down. He had started the day as an executor, a man who followed orders without question, but now he felt like a completely different person. The declaration he made, "Truly this was the Son of God," was not spoken on impulse. It was a profound confession born from what he had seen and felt. The silence of Jesus, his words of forgiveness, and the supernatural signs around him had shattered everything he believed about strength and power. He began to reflect on his role in that event. He had overseen the death of a man who showed no guilt or malice. On the contrary, Jesus demonstrated a compassion the centurion had never witnessed before, not even during his many military campaigns. Later, as he returned home that night, the weight of guilt stayed with him. Who was this man I helped crucify? And why did he ask for forgiveness for me? These questions consumed his mind. What should have been just another grim routine had become a turning point in his life, a struggle within. In the days that followed, the centurion wrestled with a whirlwind of emotions. The words of Jesus still echoed in his mind. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." He couldn't forget the impact of those events. Even amid his military duties, he was tormented by a single question. How could a man facing death show such love and mercy? Later, when rumors began to circulate that Jesus' tomb was empty, the centurion felt something stir in his heart. He heard stories of appearances of the man he had seen die on the cross. These accounts only strengthened his growing belief that he had witnessed something that transcended history, something eternal. The days that followed brought no relief. He continued to dwell on the events at Golgotha and the words of Jesus. Something within him urged him to seek answers. He knew he could never return to being the man he once was. The hardness of his heart, cultivated through years of battles and executions, was beginning to crumble. An awakening. As the rumors about Jesus' resurrection spread, the centurion was not surprised. Deep down, he already knew that this man was different. The idea that death was not the end for Jesus only confirmed what he already felt. For the centurion, that day marked the beginning of a new journey. He was no longer just a Roman soldier. He was now someone touched by divine grace, someone who, for the first time, began to understand the true meaning of faith, forgiveness, and redemption. A lesson for us all. The story of the Roman centurion offers a profound reminder. No one is beyond the reach of divine grace. A man hardened by the violence of war and accustomed to cruelty had his heart transformed when he witnessed the death of Jesus. What began as a day of duty as an executor ended with his acknowledgement of Christ's divinity. Like the centurion, we are all called to reflect on the meaning of the cross in our own lives. The sacrifice of Jesus was not merely a historical event, it was an eternal act of love and redemption. Through his death, a path was opened for everyone, regardless of their past, failures, or hardened hearts, to be reconciled with God. If this message resonates with you, I encourage you to take a step of faith. Let the centurion's transformation inspire your own spiritual journey. The cross is more than a symbol of sacrifice. It's an invitation to experience true love and redemption. Just as the centurion's life was changed, you too can find that same transformation today. If this story has touched your heart, consider supporting this channel by subscribing, leaving a like, or becoming a member. Your support helps us share this message of faith and hope with even more people. Thank you for joining me today. May God bless you abundantly.